everybody, welcome back to Feedback Loop. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Joey.
And we are a podcast talking about music.
Are we a podcast? We're people.
We
on a podcast.
Collectively, I mean, we don't really own. I don't know. I guess it depends on your definition of own. We host a podcast that you're listening to where we talk about music. This week, the album or EP I chose is Microdosis by Calma Carmona. I believe is how you pronounce her name. Probably should have looked that up, but it seemed easy enough to me. So Calma Carmona, Microdosis EP. It just came out this year, and I just heard of her like a few weeks ago because it's NPR Tiny Desk season. So I've been getting a lot of NPR Tiny Desk videos recommended to me on YouTube. And they did something, I don't remember when, I really should have done more research here, but there was a video, they did a series with Afropunk, which is like an organization or like a community of like black artists and stuff like that. And she was on this crossover event between NPR Tiny Desk and Afropunk. And I fell in love with what she performed there. And then I went and I found her and she had this EP that released this year. And so I bought it. Because it's the kind of guy I am. It's very
buying music. Oh my god!
I buy digital music instead of just streaming because I'm that kind of guy.
You're a great kind of guy. Everybody needs to be that kind of guy. I'm not that kind of guy. I mean,
especially in this case, she doesn't even have a Genius page, as I so rudely found out today.
No, she has a Genius page. It only has 2 songs on it, though.
Yeah. She doesn't seem to have a very big following in general, but she's been making music for a while, I guess. But yeah, so I've been kind of on this kick in the past few weeks, I guess, of this like Latin style music and just Latin music in general, because it just feels like a lot of things are pointing me in that direction for whatever reason in my life, and I'm not applying any significance to it, but I was like, yeah, I'm liking what's happening to me, so I was like, yeah, well, fucking, we're doing it on the podcast, and I'm assuming Joey's gonna like this. I don't know that, but I assume so because Joey's a happy-go-lucky guy.
You don't know me. Maybe I hate this.
I don't know you, but I'm gonna watch you now as you talk about track number 1. Which is...
You pronounce it, Jeremy.
It's Mira Mejora.
Is that really how you pronounce it?
I mean, that's what Mira Mejora. I think, I don't know. It's Spanish. She's Latin, if that wasn't clear. She's from Puerto Rico, I think. And she sings mostly in Spanish. The English translation of track number 1 is called Watch Me Now.
Okay. Well... I'm gonna let you pronounce all of the
that's fine.
The song names because except for I'll pronounce one of them.
Yeah, okay. I'll be sure to let you have that one. But yeah, track number 1. How do you feel about it, Joey?
So this one, it took me back to early Feedback Loop because it reminded me of like a Latin infused dark pop that you had like just something from the dark pop series.
Yeah.
And it's got like the watery sounds in the background. It's got like, so I guess whatever the bass is, it's kind of like, it sounds kind of like metallic pipes being hit underwater. And it's just like a cool sound. And like the drums, after listening to so many just music for such a long time that has like the typical just kind of drum kit, it is refreshing, I guess would be the word that I use to hear like something just different. Because I mean, you can say like, yeah, you listen to people with like who are really good drummers and they're really good at playing like the drum kit and but they're still playing the same drums that
a tom sounds like a tom, a cymbal sounds like a cymbal, a snare sounds like a snare. Granted, there's obviously variation there, but it's all very similar.
Yeah, and just the percussion on this and this whole album is just nice. Like, it's good to listen to, and it's different. And
there's a lot of like bongos and a lot of like softer percussion, kind of like, I mean, it's Latin music.
Yeah.
Or I guess at the very least, I should say it's Latin inspired. Like it's got a very common like Latin rhythm and percussive elements and stuff like that. That's very like South American and like Spanish, maybe even some African elements. I don't know a lot of the history of the style of music, so I'm not going to pretend to. But yeah, Adam Neely recently talked about it he was one of the signs. That was kind of what I said. And someone asked him, he does like a Q&A series, and someone asked him about the beat that seems to be in every like summery pop hit, and it's called the Dimbau Rhythm, apparently, is what he said. And he kind of goes into it a little bit more in depth than I'm going to, obviously. we're not a podcast that talks about it. But yeah, it's a very noticeable rhythm. It's that doom got doom got doom that's in a lot of like Latin music. And it fucking works. And I definitely like the groove. I also picked up on the kind of similarity to like the Licky Lee and the Banks kind of stuff that we did on this track. It definitely has a very similar kind of feel to it, and I'm here for it. It's very like dark, and it's simple, and it's like you said, it's unlike a lot of typical like American pop and rock and hip hop and stuff like that. So it's just, I don't know, it's a nice detour, I agree, from what we've been doing. And then her voice, I really like her voice. She's a great singer, I think. It's got a lot of character to it, and it's smooth at times, and it's kind of rough and coarse at times, and she knows how to use it and when to use it. And there's a lot of like, throughout this album, there's a lot of like kind of guttural like shrieking and like moaning and stuff that's like, it's very visceral, but it's done in such a like tactful and artsy way that like it fits perfectly. And I don't know, I just really like everything. And obviously she's rapping and singing in Spanish, which I don't know, I couldn't find lyrics for most of this album. For any of it, I stopped looking at a certain point. But I think the Spanish language has such a nice flow to it, and obviously that's me being an American and not hearing it every day, that it just like, I don't know, it's got a nice texture to add to the flow of the song and all of her songs. It feels good.
Yeah, I mean, so the lyrics or the vocals, I guess, are something that I was also going to touch on, because I like her voice. Like, it's not your typical, like, I don't know, cleaned up, like whenever you think of like our, I guess, pop music anywhere, it's like really just cleaned up and scrubbed till there's nothing there. And her voice is good. It's not that. It's not
right. It's very natural.
Yeah. And like you were talking about, I mean, I looked everywhere for lyrics, because I was like, I want to know what's happening here. I can't speak Spanish. So I was looking on like Spanish lyric websites, couldn't even find it there. So
which is a shame. Because she deserves recognition. And I think, not that having lyrics online is a super great bar of like, okay, now you've made it kind of thing, but like,
but it's
it's an indicator, I think. And I would love to also have her lyrics, but I couldn't find them anywhere either.
But also to give I guess, I don't know, a shout out to the Spanish language and how well it's like, how good it sounds in music. Listening to this week, I had recently got a shit ton of music that I used to have off of like my parents' computer. It was like almost 100 gigs of music that I had that I can't really find a lot of other places. And I finally got to listen to Peter Fox again. And
yes.
And he's a German kind of pop rap, like,
I forgot about him.
He's got like, he's almost like some reggae type sounds in it. And he does all of his lyrics in German. And to go from somebody who's singing in Spanish to somebody who's like singing in German, you can definitely tell that there's a fundamental difference in how the lyrics sound, like how the words sound. In Spanish, it sounds so much like smoother in music, and
everything has a flow. And to kind of go on that, I don't know if you watched that Adam Neely video, and I guess if you're listening, go check out that video. I don't know what it's called, but that was kind of the thing. Someone asked why that beat was used, and it said doom got, and he explained that, and it makes sense. And I don't know if he like had any like significant credence behind what he was saying, or if he was just theorizing, but like he said, because a lot of the natural Spanish language has that kind of tempo, like when you say legato, right? It's that ducato kind of thing. So a lot of their language has kind of like it's almost musical in itself, and it's very like rhythmic, and it flows in such a way that really lends itself, and then kind of like that transformed into a beat that you hear in a lot of that music, which is it's kind of cool. And that's, I think it's fantastic. Like you said, a lot of foreign languages have distinct feels, obviously, but like there's something about Spanish that just like it flows very smoothly for me.
Yeah, it's we could get into a whole thing. He has another video on I forget what it's called, but it's like the
girl from Ipanema.
No,
That
it's
video.
another type of like linguistic beat.
Mm.
I can't remember what it's
Oh yeah,
called.
yeah. He
The
mentioned that, I think, during
the
the
bada
viewing. I think.
bada bada like that thing
Yeah,
that people
I also can't remember
do.
what that's called, but
It starts with a T, but I can't remember what it's called. But
yeah,
it's really cool to just think of how just talking, like speech patterns, influence tempos and like beats in music. And
right.
I don't know, like it's like listening to, this is going way off, but fucking like
That's
listening to
fine. We got a short list of songs here anyway. We can
there's
derail a bit.
there's people who like, I don't know, like jazz, like there's certain styles of jazz, and I know not to fucking keep just riding Adam Neely's like all over this fucking podcast, but you know, he has a
We
thing where
love
he was
him.
talking. Yeah, he's a cool dude who
He
explains
knows a lot,
he
and he shares
explains
his
music
knowledge.
theory things for people like me who can't understand it otherwise, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool. But it's like how jazz is like having a conversation, and there's people who like styles of jazz where you play and it's supposed to sound like you're talking to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
just like having a conversation. And like the videos of people like the fucking Pepe Sylvia drum thing on
Yeah,
YouTube, where somebody took the clip of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia of Charlie like freaking out over Pepe Sylvia, and he just adds drums over it. And it's just like stuff like that is like, I don't know, you think like back to 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever, and it's like people coming up with these things, and it's just evolved with the way that people speak. And I
yeah,
wonder
and
what it's going to be like in the future.
yeah, when we have one common language amongst everybody in the world, when we're all just one country, we all share a national language. It'll be interesting, because like, I mean, obviously at its root, right, language and speaking is rhythm and tone,
Yeah.
which are obviously two of the largest components of music as well. So kind of like they go hand in hand. I'm kind of curious if it goes the other way though, if like pop music trending has an effect on not necessarily the words we use, but like the tones and the rhythms and how we speak. I guess it'd be kind of interesting, but that's not for us to discuss. And that's just a thought that I had. It's kind
Yeah.
of, I don't know. Track number 2 is El Se Mueve.
Are you sure it's not like, yeah, like
AS, well, yeah. I mean, AS Mueve. I can't even
mueve?
fucking. You did this to me. AS Mueve. It's the English translation is she moves.
There we go.
Also,
I say quesadilla unironically at this point.
right,
It
right.
started as a joke and then it just kind of happened.
Yeah. Yes. Yes,
But I'm
indeed.
like, every time
AS
I see,
Mueve.
yeah,
You are correct, good
yeah.
sir.
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah, this one it's got this like dirty ass dark sub bass that
Hell
kind of
yeah, it
comes in,
does.
and these like jungly bongos that kind of come in for the beat. There's some shakers that get sprinkled in, and it's very like tribal, and there's like some chanting and some like calls, like some like kind of tribal calls that go on in the background, and it's like, I don't know, it's very jungly overall. The chorus comes in, it's got these super light floaty synths to contrast the kind of dark gritty sound, and then it kind of goes back to it. And for me, like, I can't help but shake the image of like running through a jungle, being chased, and then when that kind of synthy wash comes in, it feels like you're floating on water. So I'm not sure what the transition there is, but like it's just like you're running through the jungle, and maybe you come to some clearing, and suddenly like you're out in the sunlight and everything's okay for a minute.
Yeah, like I definitely got the, and this is, I don't know if this is just like my mind hearing drums that aren't a fucking drum kit and being like,
Yeah, exactly. I felt
like,
that. I don't want to interrupt, but like through this whole album, it's like how much of this is just because it's foreign and it's not what I hear on an everyday basis that I think it's cool.
Yeah, like that's one like the synth stood out that's in the chorus because it's like a familiar sound in the
Right.
middle of unfamiliar music, but it's not that I've never heard anything like this before, but it's not day to day. Like I wouldn't turn on you couldn't even really turn on the radio at least where we live and hear this unless
Yeah.
you're going to like specific radio stations.
The
But
only thing we hear on our radio is country music, classic rock, and maybe like pop, hip hop. I guess.
yeah,
I
there's
don't.
like a current pop and hip hop, but
Yeah.
none of this sounds like that. But yeah, fucking, there's like 20 classic rock stations, 50 fucking country music stations,
Not very
especially like,
musically diverse.
especially since I moved even further away from
There
like
is. I doubt you can get it where you live now, but there is. I think the university has a radio station.
they do.
Or them, and I think there was another one that I was able to pick up that I want to say it was like somewhere out like no, I don't know. There are a couple like university radio stations that come in that usually have a pretty good diverse selection like of like, classical music and up and coming. There was one I actually found an artist that's on our list. She's from Bowling Green. Um,
Oh, that's cool.
because for whatever reason when I was delivering pizzas, I guess my music player was dead and I swapped to the radio and found the channel, and then I was just kind of like instantly captured. But we'll talk about that when we do that
Yeah,
album.
but so this song, like, I don't know, it's because she does like these. I don't know if they're like I called them vocal stylings or something, but they're
Yeah,
like vocal
like
melodies and
accents.
accents and stuff over the actual lyrics, and like the I guess the sound of it kind of gives it like almost an industrial vibe, but it's like instead of the machine sounds that you get and the harsh sounds that you get from like industrial music, these are being made by her, so it's like a natural version of that.
I like that.
And it just it was like a cool contrast because I don't know. I mean, I went the same direction you went. I hear drums that sound like they're being played with somebody's hands, and I'm like, fucking
Yeah,
beach or like somewhere out in the middle of some foreign land. But
yeah,
then you hear what I typically think of whenever I hear, I don't know, kind of industrial metal or industrial rock or something, and I'm like, what? Like it's just a cool dichotomy.
yeah. That's an interesting point, and I think it's a very good descriptor, especially of this track where it's like a natural industrial kind of thing. Natural, I think, is one word that was like constantly on my mind when I was writing my notes and listening to this album because it does it like you said you can tell or at least assume or feel like the drums are being played by hand, and like there's this very like natural element to all of it with all of her vocals and stuff, and there's definitely an electronic component of it like with the beat and with the synths and stuff, but a lot of it sounds very like handmade or man-made as far as like the instrumentation and the melodies and stuff goes, which
Or woman
it's
made.
nice. Woman-made, the general man species made. I'm not trying to make a statement here.
I was just giving you shit because
Well,
I noticed something whenever I was like playing, like if I'm playing like games or something with my daughter, I like naturally attribute people that I'm like pretending to be as guys. I'm like, oh, he
yeah,
this and he, and I'm like, okay, maybe I
it's a
should throw in a she
process.
every, yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm like
I
I
mean,
need to.
nobody's expecting anybody to just like suddenly switch and be gender neutral for everything that they say. It's
I am. I'm
but
expecting you to do that right now, Jeremy.
well, you better adjust your expectations. But eventually, ideally, we'll get there as a society, and
Eventually,
as long as we're working towards it, I think it's the best we can do.
eventually, eventually, everybody will just be they
It's true.
because that's what I say is a default, and I'm surprised that people don't fucking do that more often.
Also, eventually, we'll talk about track number 3, Vibra, which is Spanish for vibrates.
Not vibraphone.
I don't think so. I
No,
mean, it's a loose Google translation for all of these. So I feel like one word has several definitions depending on context, especially in foreign languages. So vibra, vibrates, vibration, vibraphone, perhaps.
that makes sense though, considering like there's like a really low piano that
Hmm.
vibrates pretty heavily, at least like through a decent amount of the track. I guess it's
Yeah.
just like a cool instead of having like a bass because another thing, like the music, it's kind of stripped back in a way. Like it doesn't sound like there's as many different instruments. Like it's not like drums, bass, guitar, probably keyboards, probably some dude fucking playing a horn somewhere or something, like a bunch of different. It's like there's usually like drums, the keys, or the synths. And I mean, there's multiple different types of drums and multiple different sounds coming from the keys or the synths, but it doesn't sound like you have like a fucking 7-person band up there playing a bunch, but they still achieve a big sound with it. I mean, in this song it's a little bit more laid back, but like in the past two songs, they achieve, like, she or her band or whoever's playing, they achieve like a pretty big sound with just that, I guess.
Yeah, the prior two tracks are very like big and aggressive, and I think track number 3 kind of starts a change in that tone where it's a bit less aggressive, a bit softer kind of sounding. Like you said, it's mostly like piano for the musical thing. There's also some like accompanying synths and some stuff, but even her vocals kind of have a different, less rappy vibe, I guess, on this track, and it's more of like a song thing. And she kind of reminds me a little bit of Macy Gray with her vocals when she like really accents and like leans on the roughness of her voice, which, for those who don't know, Macy Gray was arguably a one-hit wonder. I don't know if that's a hot take.
Whoa, that is a hot take. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Well, I only know one song by Macy Gray, and that's why I said that.
Okay, I'll let you slide.
Yeah, I don't even know what the song's called, but that I try to walk away, whatever that song is. I know I can't sound like her, but
I'm gonna fucking call upon the force of all the Macy Gray fans out there to come hate spam this.
Are you a big Macy Gray fan?
I'm not a big Macy Gray fan, but
you wouldn't call her a one-hit wonder, though.
I wouldn't call her a one-hit wonder. She's pretty big.
Okay, maybe we'll do a Macy Gray album at some point.
Maybe I'll figure out which one my dad had in his car. I don't know if it was actually his, but I just remember it being in there, and then he put it on, and I was like,
maybe you have a skewed view of Macy Gray because that album was so prominent in your childhood.
It could be, but I mean, I Try is a fucking brilliant song. So
it is. That's the name of the song, and
that is the name.
It's a good song. I haven't heard it in a while, but yeah, her voice kind of almost gets into that same territory sometimes when she kind of like leans on the roughness of her voice.
And I just explained how I feel about Macy Gray, so I like that aspect of the voice. But this one, I do like whenever in the chorus, like the music, it kind of keeps the same feel throughout, but there is like a certain part in the chorus where the drums back out for just a little bit, and the synth can be heard a little bit more clearly. And I like the sounds that they get with the synths on really this whole album. Yeah. And like musically, I totally fucking dig this album. And there's a little bit of like English lyrics on this one. Yeah. And I could understand a little bit of it, and I was like, oh, maybe this is something for me. I can figure some things out, but I couldn't make heads or tails. Like, it was just like, it seemed to be about wanting to be with somebody. And then I heard a line about her having dreadlocks and not fitting in a box. But other than that, I couldn't.
Yeah. The only lyrics that I could clearly make out is, I guess, the chorus. She says, all your bad days, I got you. Or like, on your bad days, I got you. If you fall down, I'll catch you. And she says, call and I'll be on my way. At least is what I heard. So I think you're right, where it's just kind of like being with somebody and supporting somebody and just kind of that general sensation. Obviously, it's probably more nuanced if we spoke Spanish and we could understand the rest of the context for that. But we're not polyglots.
I wish I could speak every language, dude. That'd be so fucking sweet. Like,
hey, we're working on it. We're on that duo grind.
Yeah, definitely. Fucking 64-day streak or whatever that I'm at.
Hell yeah.
Boom. Learning fucking Korean, like that's ever going to help me in my life.
I mean, it will. I'm learning Italian, so like that's going to help me any more or less.
I feel like I have a pretty good chance of ending up in at least South Korea. I kind of fucking hope I don't end up in North Korea. But...
Let's all hope that. This episode not brought to you by Duolingo, but I mean, if you guys want to learn some languages, recommend it. Yeah, and I recommend you try learning a language because it's actually kind of fun. They gamify it, but again, not a sponsor. Track number 4 is Sentir.
Oh,
which means feel.
feel. Okay, that I like
Just
that. I
feel.
like that.
It's another
This one-
softer.
No, you go. You do it. You do it.
It's another softer sounding song. I'm just trying to take this one because the next one's the one that you gotta.
Oh
go
yeah,
into.
that's true. That is
but,
true.
But yeah, so it's another softer sounding song. It kind of has some like 80s synthy keys, which I'm curious how you feel about. It keeps that Dimbau rhythm, as it's called, and it uses a lot of different percussive instruments and like hand drums and stuff like that. It almost gets to like this housey moombahton feel when it builds up, but it's a lot more delicate and it's not as energetic. It's more like subdued than that. So I don't think it quite bridges that gap, I think, to the genre. But it's got some nice vocal harmonies throughout. It's a very good, like, I imagine like sitting poolside at night kind of vibes to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is my favorite on the
Interesting.
album because of the
That makes
music.
sense. Yeah,
Like
the
it's
synths.
there's just there's the synths and just like it's a little bit slower. I will say it's a little less stripped back than the last song, but it's still pretty slow, and I typically like slow stuff. And there's also a certain sound in there that I really like. It sounds like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's on a lot of really good dark songs. It's got like it sounds like a far away low voice or something. And I don't know how else to describe it, but I
Just
like
like
the
rumbling.
sound. Yeah, it's like something in the back, but it's just, it hit me and I'm just like, ooh, I like it.
I'll have to listen to the track again and try and pick out what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't describe it that well, so you might not be able to.
I mean, you can't really talk about music like describing sounds is very difficult to do with like language, I guess.
Yeah. But the singing on this one, I like her vocals on this one a lot as well. So
yeah,
there's
she's
that
got
too.
a good voice, and she knows how to use it to achieve a variety of things. Joey, I have to call you out.
I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I never have my phone not on vibrate, and I had it because I was expecting a call.
I don't need your excuses.
Earlier.
I don't need your excuses.
I am so full of excuses, man. You should ask everybody that has been important in my life. I am just all about excuses.
Well, I hope whoever texted you isn't some sort of internet girl living in a digital world as a digital girl.
Like track number 5, Digital Girl.
Like track number 5, Digital Girl.
Boom! This is the one that I can pronounce because it's in English.
Yeah. I mean, you tried to pronounce the other ones too with me sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, one time whenever I
pointed out
whenever I pointed out that the double
that
L is
wrong.
a yeah. Is a yeah instead of a la.
Well, look at me being an American.
Dude, this song, I was not expecting this song. Like,
oh yeah?
Yeah, like it's got like a trap beat, which I wasn't expecting after like the percussion of the past few songs. This one's, it sounds like a club song. It's still got some of that dark pop, like hip hop sound. Yeah. And like I really like the music on this one, but I will say, for maybe the first time in this whole podcast, I'm not 100% sold on the vocals on this track. And I don't know if it can be chalked up to the fact that they're English lyrics and it's her delivering them.
That's
like, and it sounds a little unnatural, I guess. But there was just something about it that I was like, it couldn't gel with the music as much as it could on the other songs with me. And I do really like the music on this one, but it was just like something about the lyrics. I was just like, huh, what?
Yeah, I completely.
And they're all in English.
Yeah, it is all, or at least mostly in English.
Yeah,
I think there might be some Spanishisms in there, but yeah, I completely agree. Her voice does sound a bit strange at points, just the way she pronounces certain things, where she like her tongue rolls in a different direction than an American English speaker would, right? So
American.
But yeah, it definitely, like, I love the music of this one. It's got, like you kind of mentioned, that darker feel, but it also has some very like floaty, trilly like synths to balance that dark out, I think, and it has that trap beat, and it just, I don't know, it's a good night driving track, I think, for me.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like, this whole album, I could see it just being a really good album to listen to whenever you're driving around at like 1 a.m.
Hell yeah. Which is the only time I drive around.
I want to do that. I've been driving around at like 8 o'clock lately because
the sun's not even down at 8 right now.
I know.
That's awful. You poor thing. I guess you're a responsible father and an employee. So.
Sometimes I am.
But yeah,
at least the employee, I guess I'm usually a responsible. All you people out there, I'm a responsible father. It's just that I'm not always a responsible employee. Let's just get that clear.
It's almost becoming a meme in my channel, in our Discord, about how good of a father Joey is. Which I laugh when I say it, but no, he's a good father. He's a good guy.
Well, thank you. And track number 6, are you going to track number 6 yet?
I mean, I was just going to talk about the lyrics first.
Oh yeah, talk about the lyrics.
Because the one song that's in English, and we just skip straight through it. But yeah, I couldn't really hear a lot of it, and again, I couldn't find a lot of the lyrics. But what I could hear, it sounded like she said, at the end of the night, I'm just trying to get by. I'm a digital girl trying to feel in a digital world, is what I heard for the chorus. And so it kind of gave me two vibes. One of which is that maybe she's talking about struggles that she's experienced trying to come up as a musician, where she talks about like people that she can't trust anymore. And I don't know, the whole like trying to feel in a digital world was like, okay, well, maybe she's trying to feel alive, maybe trying to feel relevant. And maybe part of that feeling is like relying on substances or something. There's something that gave me that vibe. I don't remember specifically why, but I was like, okay, well, maybe there's some like substance abuse in there that she's kind of leaning on to help fit in. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just a general like commentary on how fake the music industry is, where she's being this digital fake girl trying to feel alive in an otherwise dead and fake industry, kind of becoming fake to succeed, but still trying to instill some of that realness into her music and what she's doing.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I got. Like, she's trying to become the commodity for this digital age, and she's trying to cope with the fact that she has to do that, I guess. Like, she has to become the digital girl.
You know what's interesting?
What?
Add a layer to that, right? This is the only song she sang in English, and it sounds very forced. So maybe there's like another layer of that where she's like, okay, I'm going to sing this song in English because it'll sell better if I sing in English, even though I'm not like super confident, or I'm not going to act like I'm very fluent in English. I'm going to sing words in a very strange way to kind of put my stamp on it, kind of thing.
Oh my God. I think that's I think
blew it open.
I think you might have cracked a case there.
Hell yeah. Hey, if you're listening, Miss Calma Carmona, I can't even fucking say your name. Calma Carmona, let me know if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Just talk to me. I'm lonely. Please talk to me.
just talk to me, please.
Anybody talk to me, please. Don't talk to me. I like being lonely.
Yeah.
It was a gag. I mean, if you're listening, Miss Calma Carmona, by all means, shoot us a tweet or something. But
yeah,
I don't need your pity. Track number 6, Otra Vez.
Vez? Is it Ve or is it Vez?
I don't know. I don't speak Spanish.
Dude, I don't fucking know either.
The English translation is once again.
There we go. It's the same amount of syllables too.
It is. It's very nice when that happens.
Yeah. This one, of course, I like it. I don't want to say I like it more than the last one, because I really liked the music on the last one. And there's part of me, maybe I shouldn't feel bad about this, but there's part of me that's like, I feel bad for the reason that I don't like it, because it's like,
because she doesn't sound like a native English speaker.
Yeah, and like, what kind of shit is that? Like,
yeah,
I can't speak another language.
It's so ingrained in our brains, right? To like hate what is different.
Well, it's not even like, it's like almost like what is it? The uncanny valley, but with like your language. It's like, it's so close, and there's just like little things. I would rather there be big things that are different than like it almost be there. But that's a me deal.
It's like reading a comment online of someone who like clearly understands a lot of English, but there's just certain small things off, and you feel like you just want to like correct them, or you correct them in your mind. You're like, no, that's not how you say that, kind of. Thing. Maybe that's just me, because I'm that way with words more than I am with, I guess, hearing somebody else sing.
Man, I don't know, man. Maybe I just think too much about my own, like, I don't know. In my
it's
head,
good.
it's like
it's good to think about why you feel a certain way or why you think a certain thing, right?
I just feel bad because it's like I can't speak another language, and I know if I was speaking another language, the literal last thing I would want is somebody to be like on the internet, like, I don't like this song because you tried to fucking speak my language and it doesn't sound perfect.
Fuck that. I
for
think
the first time in
I think
70
cool.
episodes, somebody doesn't like something because I'm not pronouncing it right.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think Uncanny Valley is a very good descriptor of what that hits, and that doesn't happen in the song because it's in Spanish again. But
yeah, I totally like this song. Like, it's even got a cool, like, I guess ear switching effect on the music. Like whenever I was listening, like on headphones, like I always say that I do. It like goes back and forth between my right and left ear, and it's
got a good stereo sound to it.
Yeah, and it's just got like some simple drums after kind of the trap beatiness of the last song, and it's just like it ends the album on a nice kind of stripped back feeling that clicks with me a little bit more because, you know, I'm a slow man.
You're a slow man. Yeah, it's a very like chill track. There's not really, there is a beat, but there's no like kick drum to it. There's no big like noise to it. Like you said, there's just like some more hand drums and some like clicking noises, and there's like this kind of soft, slow, the synths. I don't know if you picked up on it, but like the synths for this track are just arpeggiating the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like flowing through the chord progression with these arpeggios, and her voice is very like soft and gentle and kind of happy for the first time on this album. I feel like I would describe it as like a happy, more like cheery kind of sound, whereas a lot of the rest of it's kind of darker or like aggressive, and it kind of makes this song feel like it's a lullaby of sorts just because of how like light and floaty it is to me. And it's a very interesting way to end an album that started so dark and aggressive, I think.
Yeah, like the floaty feel. I'm all about it. It's just it's good to ride me out on an album. Just like stick me up in the air and I'm floating away as the song's ending.
Yeah, which is it's cool. I like it. I like the album. Part of me, I do wish that there were official lyrics released somewhere because I'm curious what she's actually singing about. But a larger part of me is just like, who cares? I like the music. I like it for what it is. You know, it's cool. It's refreshing, like you said. And I don't know. I enjoy every aspect of this EP, I think.
Well, hell yeah. Yeah, before this, I really haven't had any experience with current Latin music, I guess.
Right.
Like any experience I've had with Latin music was like pre-1970s probably.
Yeah.
Like, but I like it. I like that you recommended it to me. I'm going to find more of it. I'm going to consume more of this.
Yeah, I think this might be a good, like, I don't know. It kind of opened my mind to doing what we have said and what we have wanted for this podcast to do, and that's for us to find things that we haven't heard and to share them and to get outside of our typical wheelhouses where a lot of the stuff we've been doing, one of us is sharing an album that we're already very familiar with and that we love, and for the most part it's very American music, and it's very like it's within our respective wheelhouses, right? So this is new. I'm going to try to, obviously I still have a lot of albums that I like that are from American artists that are in my wheelhouse, so to say, but I think I'm going to try to get more of this, like stepping outside of my normal boundaries to bring an album in that I like.
Do it, man. I dare you.
I dare you.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to next week because I've already picked next week's album.
What are we doing next week, Joey?
We are listening to an album by a guy. I guess it's one guy. But his artist name is Plusol. But not like the Pokemon. Because there's a Pokemon.
Minin?
Yeah.
Minin?
But it's Plusol. So if you're out there searching it. But the album is called Lineage. Yeah, Plusol. There we go. Well, I'll say it like that. I don't know if that's actually how it's pronounced. But, you know, sol, that's like Spanish for sun. So
yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's a thing.
Is that a teaser for what we're getting into?
No. It's not.
There's no Spanish music.
No, I was gonna.
What is the album? I don't think
it's called.
I keep cutting you off and interjecting and just ruining it. What are we listening to next week, Joey?
Lineage by Plusol.
I'm gonna have to make sure that doesn't sound totally awful. But yeah, Lineage, Plusol. Anything else you want to say about it before we move on?
I like it. So
what? I'd hope so. Hope you wouldn't be sharing with me something. Well, maybe not. Maybe you should share something that you really hate, and maybe I'll really dig it. But if you have an album that you really hate, or if you really hated this album or really love this album, let us know in comments and social medias. We're waiting for more comments. We haven't had one in a while. It's getting kind of lonely. But yeah, hit us up. We're on all the social media stuff. We're on YouTube. You can leave us a comment. Hopefully, maybe by the end of the year, we'll be in person again.
Yeah.
Maybe do some video stuff, maybe?
That should track. So
let's hope so.
I mean, the long deadline you have given, it will track. So
yeah, the end of the year is a very generous deadline, but we got 6 months to get it together. But yeah, so maybe we'll have a video out by the end of the year, and YouTube will actually be more than just a picture of our quickly made logo. But until then, stay in our feedback.